out here where we're at in Dayton, Ohio, we have primary concern or control over the what is called the nitrate film archive at the library. These are films, motion picture films primarily on 35 millimeter that were made from the beginning of filmmaking up through roughly 1950. And it's our responsibility to conserve those films, store them under the proper temperature and humidity conditions to ensure that they last for as long a period as we can, and when necessary, copy those films onto new film. We're able to store them in specially built nitrate vaults. And when I say nitrate vaults, those are vaults that are specifically designed in the event of a fire, because nitrate being a flammable hazardous material would enable us to protect the rest of the collection. So for example, if a fire were to start in one vault and everything worked properly, then only that particular vault would be involved, and the other 98 vaults that we have would not be damaged.
This is the Disney collection. So here, in this one vault, here is, for example, we were talking about Technicolor. Here is the original Technicolor negative to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. See? Because this is a cartoon, they didn't have to shoot it like other Technicolor films. They could shoot all three colors on one reel. So it's what they call a successive exposure negative. So every frame of the film is shot 3 times, once with a yellow filter, once with a cyan filter, once with a magenta filter. So subsequently, the negative is 3 times longer than the finished film is. Disney took just beautiful care. Here's a film, 3 for Breakfast. It's a Donald Duck short, I believe.
Short?
Yeah. Again, it's a successive exposure negative. It's 3 times longer than the finished film. Now in this vault we have part of the RKO Radio Studios collection. This collection was the first major collection gotten by the Library of Congress, probably back in the early 60s.
Because until a few weeks ago, I had no hope of being elected. Now, however, I have something more than a hope.
On a major title like Citizen Kane, we only have incomplete material. This is reel 2 of a duplicate picture negative that was made in the 40s. The original negative, as far as we know, no longer exists. And this material is actually in pretty good shape. But when they came to do the big restoration of it a couple years ago, they did not. They borrowed this material, but they didn't use it because they found better material in Belgium. This is another catch-all vault. Okay, this is a collection of original kinetoscopes. These films date from the late 1890s, early 1900s. And I don't know if you can get a good shot of that. The sprocket holes are an odd size. They're not the current size sprocket hole we use. They're actually what they call Edison perfs. Mm-hmm. If you can see right at the beginning, you probably can't read it, but there's a little copyright notice here at the beginning from Edison's laboratory telling you not to steal it. 1902. And this lovely little film is called Amputating a Leg. And that's exactly what it is. It's an actual film of a surgeon amputating a leg in a hospital, what do they call it, operating theater. Yeah, all this material on this side is all film that belonged to the Office of War Information that they acquired during World War II, and it's divided into countries. Like here's the Russian collection. And since they were on our side, I guess this was sort of a trade program back and forth, because a lot of it is Russian army films and a lot of Russian newsreels and some fictional films. We used to have a large Japanese collection. That was sent back to the Japanese archives back in the early 80s, and then within a year their archive burned down. Just throw those doors at once too. This is a vault of the Universal collection. Universal actually has taken much better care of their material. Most of it's in really good shape. In amongst these films are also a lot of films made by Paramount Pictures, because Universal bought a lot of the old Paramount films from Paramount in the late 50s for television. Here it is. One of everybody's favorites, Frankenstein.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
All that exists on the original picture negative of Frankenstein is reels 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. This is actually Thomas Edison's personal collection right in this area that came from his labs in New Jersey. I don't get to watch these movies every day. I mean, these are too old to actually look at. So many people get the idea that color just kind of appeared with Gone with the Wind or Wizard of Oz, because those are two older films in color that are often seen. But the earliest films that we have here that are actually shot in color, Kinemacolor. It's alternating frames of red and green, and then as it would run through the projector, they had a color filter wheel that spun in front of the lens, and as the red frame would pass in front of the light, the red filter would go over it, and then the green frame, and then a green filter, and it ran fast enough that the persistence of vision would give you the illusion of color. Not particularly good, but it is color. All the way through the 20s, we have Technicolor developing and other color processes developing. They were all fairly expensive and fairly complex. In the 50s, Eastman Kodak developed Eastman Color, which is a color process that you could use any camera. They could shoot a color negative, then make color prints. You didn't have to use Technicolor, which was a very time-consuming, expensive process, although a very good process. So Eastman Color at the time seemed to be a great alternative. The only problem is the type of dye material they used in Eastman Color were vegetable dyes rather than a mineral dye like they use in Technicolor. So as they have discovered, the color dyes are highly unstable and eventually fade away, leaving just sort of a faded pinkish image. On the other hand, we have original Technicolor prints here that date back to the early 30s and some even from the late 20s, in which the color has not faded. The color is as strong as it has ever been. Of course, the film itself is somewhat fragile. Yeah, this one. If you can, I don't know if you can get a good shot of this, but you can notice that there's only red now in this image. All the color, all the blue and the green, the blue and green layers are gone basically. They're there, but they've gone blank.
Is that restorable?
No. Yeah, when the film is finally at its point of completely unusable, it ends up in here. We put it in this large 55-gallon drum. And then when this barrel fills up, the hazardous waste people come and take it away.
Currently, the Library of Congress receives a 35mm print of every theatrical feature film that's distributed or released in the United States.